Uh, Greetings. I want to say Baragani to my Pan African brothers and sisters. I want to say Inhotep to my Kemetic brothers and sisters. And I want to say Shalom Aleichem to my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. And Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. And Aseo to my Aborigine brothers and sisters. And Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to my Muslim brothers and sisters. And peace be unto you to everyone else. It is Halim Mustafa Al Bey, a Moorish Awakening, and here with episode number 4. It's I guess with everything, it takes a bit of time, and like I said last episode, I wanted to get a bit more uh, consistent with these episodes. I wanted to thank everybody that's subscribed to my channel. I really truly appreciate it. Keep viewing my videos. It does give me some motivation to get more material out there. Today, I'd rather talk about things that I have actually done and then talk about things that I'm going to do. Um, right now, this is another talk, and I wanted to let you know the certain things that I have done. Um, I'm an author of some books, and I wanted to show you my first book that I put out, and it was about 3 steps on that. This was during my Pan African days, so it's actually three stages this book went through before I to its current stage. It was called "The Development of Al Islam in the African American Community." This is a self-published book that I had put out about 40 copies. They sold out, um, and that was just it kind of printed off. A friend of mine printed it off for me. May Allah rest his soul, uh, passed a couple years ago. Um, this was um, the version which I call my actual first edition that I printed out, and this was um, first one that I printed out on and sold on Amazon. So I call that my first edition. This is the edition that's out now, and it's been out since like 2014. So the first one was 2012, 2013, and 2014. And at that time, my pen name was Mustafa Al Kanemi, and I was attached myself to the old Islamic Empire, Kenan Bornu back then. Thinking I was, of course, an African, and got into the Pan African thing since I was like 13 years old. It wasn't until I was 56 that I did the Moorish Awakening. So again, if you know my history from what I've told before, um, I was in the Pan African thing for the mindset for over 43 years. I've been Muslim now for for about 40 years now. The development of the this is the one that's available on Amazon. The development of Al Islam and African American community. I shows a whole entire history of the movements that we had, in this country, indigenous Muslims, and starting with the Moorish Science Temple, Nation of Islam, going into the Dar Islamic movement, and the branches of that, pretty much culminating with Imam Bordi Muhammad, and so it's still a good book. It's even though I'm not in the Pan African set, I kind of said it going from Africa, going from uh, Arabia into Africa, which the ancestors basically had that as one area. There's not really a separation. Like people said, there's on both sides of the Red Sea is the same culture. Um, According to Dr. Wesley Muhammad, it's like um, in his research, he said that anything east of the Nile is considered Arabia, and we got to kind of get divorce ourselves from this um, idea that the enemy gave us and the divisions that the enemy gave us, and that's not even true, you know. So it's a lot of good information in because what I did during the time when these movements came about, I was showing what was going on in the community. So that's available on Amazon. It's it's not that expensive. I think it's going for $18 and some change on Amazon. My next book is a book that I actually wrote back the in the 80s. Actually, this is poetry that I did from basically age 19 to age 36, and some songs are in there too. I performed this um, at various times. Um, went Wayne County um, Arts Council. They used to have a situation you present your poetry or present music and stuff. Um, I believe that was once a week or every other week or something like that. Some years back, I performed it there. I performed it uh, at my children's school, and these are poetries that I've done all over the years. Um, I'm gonna probably I'm gonna probably read a little bit of some of my earlier poetries. Um, this one was a message. Now remember, I was in a Pan African mindset, but I'm gonna just read this one real quick. I said, "This is a message to the black race. Do you know that we built the earth? Everything that we see around us, we did it first. We are the original people starting humanity's time. We saw the first sunset and the first sunrise. We were the first fishermen and sailors. We were the first doctors and lawyers. We were the first bankers and tailors. We were the first writers and philosophers. We were the first scientists and astronomers. We spoke the first of the origin of man and spread our ideas and religions across many lands." So generally, in my knowledge base now, I know that we're Moors. I don't uh, believe in the race thing. That's an enemy's thing. That there's different races among men. There's only one race, the human race. I've basically already have believed that is that there's only one race, the human race. And so um, again, we have the Moors. That's the original man. That word goes all the way back. There's a brother. But before I get into that, I'm gonna go ahead and go with my next book. This was my um, original newsletters, and this is done during my Pan African time. This is New Africa Rises. This is what it ended up becoming. New Africa Rises Anthology 1992 to 2011 to 2015. I'm going to show you what it looked like. I actually was doing my newsletters. I started doing my newsletters. I'm going to get this. I started doing my newsletters. That's how it looked. And when I started doing my newsletter, this is in 1992. I did one before that. I lost it in 1991, but this is my second one I did in 1992. Salaam Kenema New News is what I called it first. And what happened there is that was during a time where I actually was doing actually copying and pasting. Okay, actually copying and pasting. We didn't have the computer where we could copy and paste back then. So I was actually had to cut out, type up stuff on a typewriter, cut it out, and actually paste it to the paper, and then run off copies. So that's how I started out. Um, when I revived it back in 2011, first one kind of looked like this, first article, and then eventually I got it. It's quite similar. I got it to look like this, and at first I was just taking other people's articles. I gave them all the recognition and everything. Did all the recognition and everything. And then eventually became the New African Review. Right. Eventually became the New African Review. And then I went from it was I called it um, the New African Historical Society. New African was generally a movement, the whole New African movement. I wouldn't say that I was exactly part of it, but we get the Imam Word Muhammad, and it's in my book thing, and he had New Africa. That's Imam Word Muhammad, and he had New Africa um, concept that he introduced shortly before he died in 2008, and I took it one step further and just was declaring myself a New African. And eventually, before I do my Moorish awakening, I consider myself a New African Moor. Okay, so it was New African Historical Society, and then I met a young lady named um, Pinky Jacobs. She was, uh, had some children that she would be watching. She was very into the movement. She was the heart and soul of basically the conscious movement in Goldsboro. Unfortunately, we lost her um, a couple years ago as well. She died the same year as my friend that ran off the first one. She died some months before he did, and I did a whole article. It's going to come out when I do my last anthology, and I have mentioned her here in the in my um in my introduction over here. So when I taught her children, I'm gonna kind of read you what I said. Okay, by the fall of 2013, I changed the publication to its current name, New Africa Rises, which was the first used in the title of a quizbo, New Africa Rises Black History Month Quizbo. That was produced on behalf of the now defunct Wayne County Action Committee, Goldsboro, North Carolina, for Black History Month 2013, with the intention of targeting the local school system. At the time, at the time, I was functioning as the group's educational officer. Since then, I had developed two versions of the Quizbo specific to my African Studies course under education program, co-founded by Mr. Ivana Pinky Jacobs, called the New African Village Forum. And I put that in my when I changed the direction from New African Historical Society. Um, then I renamed it New African Heritage Society. The new letters have been distributed free to the public. In the course of producing them, I had utilized online articles as well as articles I have written, and then I listed all the articles that were not produced by me, but I printed. Um, Unfortunately, Pinky passed a couple years back at the young age of 38. Um, I wrote a whole article about her, and but she was very instrumental in really getting me started and getting me some traction. Before that, I had taught African American Studies classes at my public housing unit that I lived in back then. Also, um, so it does bring me to 2017. I had to take a year off from my newsletters in 2017 in my Moorish awakening and Moorish. And so I produced, this is the first anthology of my Moorish awakening newsletters. And all my books are available on Amazon. In the Moorish Awakening newsletter, um, first I started with my last in 2015, the last uh, New Africa Rises, and then I went into, and that's what's the second one. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I did with these. This was my first publication as Moorish Awakening. If blacks are indigenous to America, then why did Columbus call us Indians? Still use the term black only for purpose of knowing, communicating. And I said, why ancestors were called Indians, and then they see the indigenous American, sisters right there, and then you see the Indian sisters, and you look at the hairstyles. The hairstyles is very, very similar. The people that Columbus saw, basically, they said, well, he thought he was an Indian and stuff. Actually, he had the maps to America. What they referred to America was as West India. They knew America was here. But anything that was like basically overseas with the Spaniards, and they were kind of new to the whole sailing game. They got all the information from the Moors. They got all the navigation information from the Moors. But a lot of things in terms of the Spaniards and going overseas, everything overseas to them was Indios. So when he came here, he said, "Well, I'm in India, but this is the West India." And when they went over into like the Philippines and over into the Far East, and they called that the East Indies. Okay, India and the East Indies and everything like that. So that's why we were called Indians. But we know that the original word for us as the people of our civilization, the original word is Mu, and that we're Moors. That's You could go to this brother. When I started my Moorish Awakening channel, there's a brother named Almir Alamgir Bey who did great videos in terms of um, showing that the word Moor goes all the way back to the beginning, and he was one of the most earliest people um, videos that I saw and that I uploaded to my channel. And like I said, I'm almost like a quarterback. I'm going to show you um, where I got the information from. I'm not talking out of hat or anything like that. I don't believe in teaching anybody's doctrine. That's not what the American Mortgage Research Initiative is about. I have my divisions depending on what I do with it. Um, Basically, on Islamic tip, basically it's Islamic Mortgage Research Society. And like I said, from the last one, I combined what I used to call Mission, is, um, Islamic Mission among American Moors, and um, the Indigenous Muslim American Moor Society, because fully identify myself as an indigenous Muslim American Moor. And I explained that in my first one if you want to go back to do that. So I think that's basically all I have for now. Um, but I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to my channel. I want to thank everybody that's viewing this. Um, Definitely, there's so much information out there. I can't say that I have all the information. I'm trying to gather as much information as I can. I had to buy. I think I have since um, like really pay attention to like channels like Curry Mayo Ahad, and he presents a lot of books. You need to check out brother's channel out if you haven't. There's other people that deals with the Aborigine stuff, and it's a lot of information. So I have information. I had got books and books and books and books, all about our Aboriginal heritage, and I had to fill up like three. I had to take books off of three of my shelves because I don't have that much room and replace them with all those books. I still have my books in my Pan African books in the section and everything like that because it's still relevant. Anybody that does anything for our people, I'm for. That's why I greet everybody. I've been through all of these, um, movements. I've been through groups that had these ideologies. Um, except I wasn't never a member of the Muur or a member of Hebrew Israelites, but I know Moors, in the Moorish Science Temple and Hebrew Israelites as well. So I don't down anybody, because even there's differences even among these groups, there are differences. Some people, like every single solitary group that we human beings have. We have people who are extreme on one end, extreme on the other, and then you got people in the middle. And those are the people that I deal with. I try to stay in the middle. Even in the Quran, it talks about, with the middlemost people to the benefit of humanity. So it's good to kind of have that middle ground, stay in the middle, and don't go extreme to one end or the other end. Because sometimes some information sounds really, really good, to some folks. But then when you actually examine the information, it's a whole different story. A lot of people think that America is named after America, but Spoochie, please check out my video, Who Named America, and anybody else's video that goes into that. And um, some people think that Africa is named after Leo Africanus. Um, this is just basic J. Rogers, man. That J. Rogers said that Leo Scorpius, the Roman general, they had wars with Carthage called the Punic Wars. And he defeated the people there in Carthage. He won some battles there in Carthage, defeated people there in Carthage. That area alone was called Africa. That's what the Romans called it, Africa. But it was named for a people called the Ifriki people. They came out of Yemen and settled up there. And Carthage was also started as a city, as a postal a city of commerce, or a place of commerce by the Phoenicians. Phoenicians, again, they came out of what we would call Palestine today, but it was not called Palestine then. It's basically referred to as Canaan, and they came out of there, and they sailed the whole entire world. These people were Moors. These people were Moors. They had cone type um, uh, headdress and everything, you know, and they portrayed themselves as dark skin, and that's when these people were Moors as well. Like I said, Moors is a general term for dark skinned people. It doesn't directly mean that. It means the people that came out of Muur, that whole entire first civilization of Muur. And so there's several different types of definitions for the word Moor, and I spell it Muur, Muur. I don't pronounce it Mur. I don't pronounce it more as an alphabet door. It's Muur, Muur. Okay, I'm from Muur, Muur, Muurish awakening. So awakening to the fact of who we really are. This is a day and time because if you can see my cook boss too, I've had this information that the people, you know, the pale skinned people have been historically and scripturally called Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog had only 1,000 years that they could rule. And in the Quran, it talks about this is a time known. You go back to my video, call it Imagination, and it goes into that whole entire thing. I have also videos in terms of Zulkarnain and um, Gog and Magog. So you go into that and you see the genesis of what I call the Caucasian mentality, because it started in the Caucasus, that they broke away from the rest of humanity because they were isolated from the rest of humanity, because they, according to the Quran, they caused mischief. And the people uh, there around the Caucasus were called the Colchians, and they were by Herodotus. Herodotus called them Egyptians. So history would know them that they eventually became the Gypsies. Today they call the Roma people. And they had told Zulkarnain, who obviously was a pharaoh, to lock them behind the Caucasus because they caused mischief. So these people were behind the Caucasus. Gog and Magog was locked behind the Caucasus. They could not get out, and for like thousands of years. And they became very, very resentful of the folks that kept them in there. That was us. That's why they don't like us. That's why they develop a whole entire mentality against us. And it also predicted in the Quran that they would break forth from every elevated place, meaning every place of authority. You know. So there's only one race. But you have the Moorish mentality, which is the original mentality. And then you have the Caucasian mentality, which takes credit for civilization that the Moors gave them. And they'll tell you this. You go right back into it. They'll tell you this. You know. And then, so, and then they had, their whole thing is their whole program is just to replace us. So what they did was kind of flipped everything on us. That we were the masters, they were the slaves. When they coming out of the Caucasus, I said our people enslaved them. That's one of the groups that come out was called the Slavs, and the Slavs, that's where they get the word slave from. Okay, because they flipped it on us, and it's very complicated, but there was a situation basically up until I guess about around time of the U.S. Civil War, that you had, you know, dark skinned people were not, how can I say this? Because in some respects we were, in some respects we were not. I mean, slavery, everybody got enslaved. I'm not talking about American slavery. Everybody got enslaved in terms of different people, colors, and everything like that. And the first people that were enslaved in the Americas were the Americans themselves, us. We, they called us the Americans. That was the name that we named the land, America. It was named after America Vespucci. Okay, America. And so when of course the Portuguese and the Spanish got hold of the word, they changed it to America. Um, Ameru, um, America, America, Amaruca. These are all in the books that I have. That's not doctrination. That's actual and bona fide fact. And actual bona fide fact is that this is the old world. This is the world that Louis Agassiz said they come out of the ocean first. He was a geologist. He studied the land. Studied the actual land, the actual soil. So he was well respected. And he know what he's talking about. Go to Premio Ahad again, because I've got all the information from him. And so he read the books, and I said I filled up all the books he presented. I filled up my shelves and most of them. And you may ask, well, what does this have to do with Islam? And my philosophy of terms with Islam, I'm not a dogmatic Muslim. I do believe in the Quran. The Quran is a book that verifies all of the revelations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is the proper name of the Supreme Being, but it verifies every single revelation that came before it. When I started pondering on the Quran and I came to conclusions, maybe some of my so-called Sunni or so-called Shia brothers and sisters didn't come to certain conclusions, and then I went back and I saw even the Bhagavad Gita and things like that, and this stuff was there. You know, the Quran is a book. It's not independent of its own self in terms of being a book that wipes everybody else's book out. It is a book that's sent to correct the errors and the um, misinformation that was put in there by men of the previous scriptures. That's what it's for. Um, Again, read the Quran. I said that before. Read the Quran. Um, don't be afraid. Muslim only means one who submits to the will of the Creator. To be Muslim, it comes from a word, Salaam, meaning peace, and it's not nothing to fear. It's not terrorism. It's not uh, harshness or anything like that. Like I said, every single solitary group on the planet has extremists. Every single one. And if you listen to the extremists and they become afraid of something that is just information, and then you're going in the wrong place. It's always good to kind of look and examine other people's stuff, and even to my more extreme Muslim brothers and sisters, yeah, you could read the Bible. Don't throw it away because a lot of things that's there, you still have the revelations that Allah sent to some of these prophets. And, unfortunately, the Bible, there was never a book revealed by Allah called the Bible. The Bible is a collection of basically fragments of revelations that was sent to mankind thousands of years. And before the Bible, there were other scriptures. You have the Sanskrit scriptures that are older, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, uh, the Puranas, I think they're called. Um, you have all these different books that was rebuilt in the Sanskrit, um, from Hindu, Jainism, uh, things like that, and all these books. The Nation of Islam utilized a lot of information from those books in terms of mankind being, billions of years old, um, and all types of, we think it's the mothership and all that's a myth and stuff like that. Other people now talking about the mothership that are among the people that we consider among Gog and Magog, and they're talking about the mothership, and they're describing it as the same exact way Elijah Muhammad described it, as a big ship with bomber planes and everything like that. You know, one woman, she's Australian, uh, and she says that she works on the mothership. She could channel there and go there, and she's described it exactly the way Elijah Muhammad described it. So it's not like a lot of nonsense or anything like that. I mean, your enemy wants you to think that this stuff is not related. Your enemy wants you to think that we had nothing to do with civilization, that dark skinned people were nothing but a bunch of savages and things. Interestingly enough, when the Pope, um, Nicholas V, um, put out, I think it was Dumb Diversus. He put out two of them. Um, is it Pontifex Rex? But anyway, he said in terms of destroy their kingdoms, destroy their counties, destroy their duchies, and put them in perpetual slavery. And that was the agenda of coming into America. That was the agenda. It said Columbus was not lost. Columbus was a crusader. Columbus came to enslave us. They brought warships. Said first Anina, the Pinta, and Santa Maria were um, reconnaissance ships. And then afterwards, he came back with about 15 ships and they were warships. He went and checked out the people, said the people were so nice and so kind. And he said, well, these to make great slaves. Okay. This is an order of the Pope, you know. And it's interestingly enough that Columbus, Vespucci, Verrazano, um, John Cabot was with Giovanni Cabato were all Italians. Now, there's controversy about, whether Columbus was really Italian or not, or whatever. There's a lot of controversy. Was that his real name or not? Um, but, basically, they were all Italians. Basically, we became enslaved because of the Crusades, because dark skin was associated with Islam because of the Moors. And I say history calls them Moors because, English, that's the English rendition of the word Muur. But generally, uh, that's why it was associated. So anything in terms of Islam was considered Moors. Right? It was interchangeable. Arab, Moor, Muslim, that's all was interchangeable. So when they got here, they recognized they were Moors, right? And they recognized that since they now defeated the Moors in Spain, now they could defeat the Moors in America, America, Amur, Amaruca. Okay, so it's information out there, and all you have to do is just research it, because that's the best thing to do. Because we're waking up, to who we actually are. This is the time, because their time is going to be up in 2095. Pope Urban II declared terra nullius, which means empty land. He said, anywhere you go, told this Christian vassals, anywhere you go, this is 1095. Anywhere you go, declare it empty land. If they ain't Christians, declare it empty land and take it over. Don't you see that that's exactly what they did? I'm just one of the people telling you this. I'm not the only person. I'm just one of them. Just put together what I'm saying with what everybody else is saying on that regard, because this is a time of wakening up. And it's like, well, Allah let me notice like the sunrise. When the dawn comes, it's dark, and then it begins to get lighter. And all of the light molecules begin connecting. And once they all are connected, you see the source of the light. So this is my talk for today. Inshallah, I wish everybody well. I wish everybody, uh, safe and sound, and uh, definitely, uh, I would like, again, I want to thank you for, uh, you know, viewing this, and I want to also thank all those who are subscribing. Uh, my just want to make a note. I am having a bit of communication problems. The number I gave in terms of my office number, um, I'm just having problems with that phone. Uh, Basically, if you do want to contact me, the number 252-363-1614. Please text me so I know that you're not a telemarketer. I mean, sometimes people would just call. I don't know. I think one young lady called. I think she might have asked for me. Um, El Bay is my pen name, and I'm not sure if she did. I was kind of in the middle of something, and I may have uh, told her it was the wrong number, but I said, but before you call that number, it is a number basically for texting. So you could text me. Um, Please check out my blog, Moorish Awakening uh, .net or Moorish Awakening .wordpress.com. I have my podcast, Moorish Awakening podcast. You can access it on Spotify, and then my email is moorishawakening@gmail.com. So if you want any copies of my newsletter, I can email it to you. If you want me to mail it to you, you could email your address in the subject matter. Put down newsletters, and then I would know exactly. I know what you want, and I would try to fulfill your requests. Inshallah, if Allah wills, God will. Okay, well, I do pray that everybody have a good and safe night. Uh, and I'm gonna end this right here with saying peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.